Will Arsenal win the Premier League? I've had a good 24 hours to reflect on what is a very, very symbolic victory for Arsenal Football Club in the modern era, and of course Mikel Arteta. This Arsenal side, after a period of deep reflection on a City loss, a painful loss for me, I looked at Arsenal and thought, that is a rugged, un-Arsenal-like performance. That is the kind of win that we saw Jose Mourinho get with Chelsea. We saw Conte get with Chelsea in the big season. Even, dare I say it, a kind of Leicester City Ranieri performance. These sides that have won the Premier League that I've just referenced, and of course Man City are part of that. You know, the classic 1-0 victory is a very Guardiola kind of result. And the way Arsenal powered through the game, I think is very important to explore. If we see that more in the back end of this season, Arsenal will be going on to win the Premier League, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments down below. We're going to explore some of the big performances on the pitch, and obviously just an overview of where Arsenal are going into the international break based on performances in the league. Some massive results, and the more I look at them now, compiled that with the Man City result, it looks very, very exciting if I was an Arsenal fan. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Would really appreciate that. Just my overview about Arsenal on the pitch, the 11 that played, including the substitutes, obviously Martinelli, one of them being a big, big factor. Arsenal just looked physically rugged, far more dominant. They were prepared to go toe-to-toe with City, because City, I thought, were a little bit redundant in beautiful play. I think they tried to reduce that kind of aspect to their game and make things ugly, and almost said to Arsenal, come on then, you go and beat us. If you want to win the league, if you want to actually beat us in a game for the first time in 12, go and do it. And I'm not a fan of that approach. I don't know if City had the personnel to play the most beautiful football without De Bruyne, Rodri, etc. Without Mahrez and Ilkay Gundogan obviously leaving as well. So I think Guardiola sort of said, look, the squad's young, the squad's transitioning for City. We're not sure about Kovacic yet. He's just come in. Nunes, we're still transitioning these players. The pressure's on Arsenal to get the victory with a side that is, the same as last season, if not better, with far more experience, plus Declan Rice. This is a side that got 50 points halfway through the season last season. That's they were on course to be Centurions in their own right. That's the kind of side that they were if it wasn't for issues in their squad. And they've literally gone out and addressed every single issue in their squad that they recognise. I still think there's a gap up front, but that's a debate for another video. They went there to the Emirates, Arsenal, and they matched Man City's physical dominance. And that physical dominance helped City win the treble, because at points it wasn't pretty for City. It wasn't all beautiful football. It was Diaz, Haaland, Rodri, if you include John Stones in that as well. These big lads, Akanji. And I looked at Declan Rice, I thought he's part of that. But for Arsenal, the way he was clearing things off the line, the way he was putting big tackles in, fair tackles, he bullied Haaland, Alvarez at points, Phil Foden. He covered so much ground. I thought he was everywhere. I saw a great comment today, actually, and this is really interesting. I've been saying that he reminds me of Patrick Vieira and Petit a lot, but it actually reminds me of Tony Adams. It's almost as if Tony Adams was a modern footballer. I think he probably would be Declan Rice, because someone as a leader as Tony Adams was, not bad on the ball either, by the way, Tony Adams. Imagine sticking him in midfield. You would get that kind of leader that you get from Declan Rice. He was an absolute marshal on the midfield, in the midfield for Arsenal against City. And those kind of performances, I've always said it, the glue for a Premier League title winning side. Some people have their own opinions. Some people say you need a back four to win the league. You can get by with having low scoring sides and still win the league with John Terry and Carvalho, for example. Some people say you need Aguero, Thierry Henry, Wayne Rooney level goals up front. For me, my perception of how you win the Premier League is you need Yaya Toure, you need David Silva, you need Patrick Vieira, you need Roy Keane. These midfield icons, obviously there's thousands of players that have missed out, hundreds, but in Premier League winning sides, you need that core midfielder to bring defence and attack to life, to bring the whole 11 up to the same level that he is playing at, and Declan Rice is doing that by the bucket load. It was a Rolls-Royce performance. It was probably the best performance of his career at Arsenal. Not saying much because it's a new career. It's brand new. It's probably one of the best performances I've seen from him, period. Even on the ball, I thought the way he passed things quick, bypassed the Man City press. He never lost the ball, Declan Rice. It was a really mature, exciting performance if you are an Arsenal fan. Let me know in the comments as well if you agree. And then we've got to talk about the big man at the back. Saliba, man-marked Erling Haaland at the game. His distribution out from the back was absolutely fantastic. He's top 3 centre-backs in world football. Top 2. Maybe there's an argument it's him and Ruben Diaz. But I'd put in John Stones ahead of him slightly. But Saliba is, at the moment, the best centre-back in the league. He was an absolute warrior. He gave me proper Sol Campbell vibes. Maybe not Sol Campbell, because he's not as big as Sol Campbell. Maybe more Kolo Touré, someone that gets a little bit of a bad rep, in my opinion. But on his day, for a couple of years, Kolo Touré was one of the best centre-backs in the league, period. Part of the Invincibles as well, of course, won leagues elsewhere. And Saliba's got that kind of Kolo Touré size about him. He's a little bit smaller, but he's so much more mobile. He's for what he is, he's very, very physical, very, very present at the back. And that back line, if you... Gary Neville said it bang on. Gabriel has to be playing. I didn't like the rotation when he wasn't always starting at the start of the season. Gabriel's a great centre-back as well. Gabriel, Saliba and Declan Rice as a triangle ahead of Raya, who I think is better than Ramsdale. And then you just see if Martinelli can get 15, Odegaard can get 11, Saka can get 20, he's more than capable. Jesus, Eddie Nketiah getting 10, 15 each. Suddenly the goals sort themselves out. I think Declan Rice can add a few. And the back line is a back line worthy of winning the Premier League. Mark my words. Just an overview. Look at some of the results that Arsenal have gone through. You know, they stayed in the game from a really good Spurs side that had a bit of an onslaught against them. I think it was a decent point, actually, against Spurs. They beat United at home, a fixture traditionally they struggle at. With 10 men, a 1-0 win against Palace away, a 1-0 win against Everton away. Really big performances, those two. I mean, last season, even 3-4 years ago, that's 4 points from 6. And they got 6 points out of 6 and a clean sheet. Fulham was obviously one that I was critical of. I think they should have been winning that game. But they addressed issues, you know, and even Bournemouth, smashing Bournemouth where everyone is. But it's another away win where they're keeping a clean sheet. I think Arsenal have got a massive opportunity, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to win the Premier League. I think the mixture of Liverpool not quite being there yet, maybe because of luck, maybe because of a young squad that a lot of these players have come in. That's a different story for a different video. But Man City coming off the back of an anti-climax is the word. When you win the treble, the next game is an anti-climax. That is just a reality. I think City will apply themselves and go again. Is it enough to win the league if Arsenal are that hungry? Look at the way the Arsenal fans were celebrating. You can see a side desperate to win the league. United, Chelsea, Spurs aren't there for me. And it just leaves one more side, Arsenal. I think they've got a great opportunity. And they look very good against City, upon reflection. Hopefully I wasn't too biased in previous videos about Arsenal. They were very, very good. They deserved the win, really. And it's worrying times for the current Premier League holders. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. We'd really appreciate what you think about Arsenal going into the rest of the season. And I'll see you very, very soon.